Hi and welcome back. I'm not going to bore you for an intro for too long. I know you're here for answers. If I do miss out on any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments or message me on Instagram. I'm more than happy to get back to you. And with that being said, let's get started on the first question. What is the difference between underglaze and glaze? Underglaze is a specific type of paint for pottery to paint on detailing. You get a whole variety of different colors and you treat it the same as normal paint. You can mix two colors to create another color. You can mix white in to make it lighter. You can mix water in to give it a more watercolor effect. The only thing I'd say with underglaze is that it is usually a different shade before you get it fired to once it's been fired. For example, this is what the color looks like when you paint it on and when it gets fired. So as you can see, it does change. Just be aware of that. So when you are buying underglaze, make sure to look at the color guide to see exactly how the shade will turn out once it's been fired. Glaze, on the other hand, is something that you finish your piece off to either give it a different effect, to make it waterproof, and or make it food safe. If you have used underglaze on your piece and you want to seal it off and make it food safe and waterproof, you can add a transparent glaze to your whole piece. With that, you'll still be able to see your underglaze detailing below. You do also get different effects, finishes, and colors of glaze. The varieties are endless. Glaze, on the other hand, you can't mix two colors to make another color. It will more likely give you a different effect. So you can layer different types of glaze on top of each other and it'll give you a different color and effect, but there's no knowing how it will turn out unless you do a test tile first. So as you can see with this piece, I have used underglaze to paint on little flower detailing on the inside. I also used the same color on the outside, and then I did a transparent glaze over the whole thing to make it waterproof and food safe. This is a piece that has been glazed with a color glaze. As you can see, this is sort of a blue-brown effect. It's not a solid color, but that's also the type of glaze that I used. And it has a glossy finish. This glaze, I know for sure, is food safe and waterproof, so it's okay to use on a mug. I also used glaze on this mug to give it the color and effect. As you can see, I'm trying to show in the best lighting here, it is more of a matte finish and not glossy, and it is brown throughout. So you get a whole lot of different types of glaze, colors, effects. If you want to know more about glaze and underglaze, when you're supposed to paint it on, as well as different types of clay and the ceramic process and everything, I have made a whole separate video explaining all of the basics of pottery and everything that you need to know before you start. So make sure to give that video a watch if you haven't yet. I'll link it up above over here. Okay, next question. What do you need to start pottery? I will link everything below that I'm talking through, but the first thing that I would say is a basic pottery toolkit. You can get this at most craft stores or even online on Amazon. These usually include a sponge, a rib, wire tool, a needle tool, and a modeling tool, and they're usually really affordable. And then obviously a bag of clay. I suggest maybe starting out with a 5 kilogram bag of clay. You can make a few items from that, but also it's not a massive bag that you need to get through. A lot of pottery supply stores do only offer 10 kilogram bags of clay. Sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and buy a bigger bag of clay. And then lastly, just to find a firing service near you, because if there isn't a firing service near you, then it's a bit tricky with if you make the pieces, then what do you do with them? I also suggest working on either a piece of untreated wood or a piece of fabric or newspaper. You don't want to be playing with clay straight onto your dining room table, for example, because it will stain it. I suggest leaning on either a piece of newspaper, fabric, or untreated wood. Where can I get everything that I need? Pottery supplies you can get from a pottery supply store, either online or at a shop near you. If you are based in the United States, Klay King online has absolutely everything that you need. It has everything from clay, underglaze, pottery wheels, kilns, tools. I actually get astounded every time I go on their website and how much they have to offer. It's fantastic. So everything that you'll need you can find from there. Otherwise, if you're not in the United States, Klay King does offer international delivery, but if that's not an option for you, try find an online supply store in your country, or if there's a pottery store in your area. I think one of the most commonly asked questions I get is if you can fire your pieces in an oven. No. That's the simple answer. No, you cannot. If you are wanting to make a food safe item, you won't be able to fire your piece in an oven. You will need to have your pieces fired in a pottery kiln. The reason being is because the temperatures get so high, they get up to anywhere between 900 degrees Celsius to even 1200 degrees Celsius. So, which obviously your oven cannot get to. A way around this is to find a firing service near you. Often pottery supply stores or studios in the area can offer this. So I suggest just reaching out and seeing if they do offer a firing service. Another great resource is Kilnshare. Anyone can list their firing service on here, and there's already over 900 kiln and firing services available. You just go on the map and go to the area that you're in and see if there are any firing services near you. If you do live in an area where there's no firing services available, you can use air dry clay. You just won't be able to make food safe items such as mugs or bowls, but you can make decorative items such as trinket trays or dry flower vases, which leads me on to my next question. Can you use air dry clay to make a mug? Again, no, you cannot, because it won't be food safe. If you are starting out and you really want to make food safe items, I suggest going to a pottery class, because firstly they will teach you the basics, and they'll have a firing service available there as well, where they fire the pieces for you. What's the best piece to make as a beginner? I always suggest starting out with a bowl, because you'll kind of get the feel of how the clay moves and how you can mold it, and there's no two pieces that you need to attach to each other. So I suggest starting out with a bowl, and then from there to a mug. So a mug, you need to be a little bit more in control of the shapes of the walls, and then you'll be attaching a handle on. So it's kind of the next step above. So those are the two steps that I would say as a beginner is the best to start off: bowl and then a mug. Another question that I get asked a lot is, what clay do I use? I personally like to use white stoneware, but I've also been reaching into earthenware lately as well. Again, if you don't quite understand the different terminologies that I'm using, or just want to learn a little bit more about the different types of clay and everything that you need to know before you start pottery, I have made a full separate video explaining everything. So make sure to give that a watch. I'll link it at the top and leave it in the description box below. I don't think there's one right clay to use for anybody. It's more just experiment and see what you like to use and what colors and effects you prefer. Again, there's not one right answer. I would say if you are starting out, use white stoneware, because it is the most durable and you can make a wide range of projects with stoneware. I also love the stoneware glazes that you can get. How long does it take to dry? This answer can vary depending on what climate you are living in. So if you are staying in a very wet and humid environment, your pieces will take longer to dry. It can take up to a week or even 2 to dry fully. But if you are living in a very dry place, it can take very quick, up to maybe even a day for the extreme conditions. My best bet on this is just to experiment with the environment that you're staying in. Make a piece or two and constantly survey it, check on it, and you'll start to get a feel on how long pieces take to dry in where you are staying. It can also vary depending on the weather and if you're on summer and winter. So throughout the year as well, it will change for where you live. And yeah, there's no set time of how long it takes to dry. I do suggest, if you do live in a very dry place, once you've made your piece, put a piece of plastic over it so that it doesn't dry too quickly. When it does dry too quickly, it can create cracks and warping. So I suggest letting your pieces dry out slowly. Like I said in the beginning, if you have any other questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try my best to get back to you. You can also message me on Instagram at klay.ceramics.ws. The WS stands for Wendy Stone. So feel free to message me on Instagram if you have any questions, and again, I'll try my best to get back to you. to you. I hope this video helped answer some of your questions, and see you next time. Bye!